Zero. Welcome. Hey everyone. Welcome to the Naoto's Nerd Power Hour. Yes, that's correct. Um, I'm Naoto from the Knifewear. I am, the Kevin calls me a cultural ambassador. Some people call me knife. I'm definitely one of the knife nerds. I sometimes consider myself as I don't want to call him a head sharpener, but I do. I am in a position where I could do lots of experimental sharpening techniques and trying out some new stones and tools, and also
You're
being
like
able
the
to.
research and development
Yeah,
department.
exactly, and being able to speak and fluent Japanese that helps me to do a little bit more deeper research in Japanese for the products as well. So I get to do this kind of show. The welcome to the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour, where we talk about a little bit more deeper dive it deeper into the sharpening stones and sharpening techniques and all such. Today, apparently, the topic is the sharpening stones and different grits and what that means, those type of stuff. So let's talk about that. We have a Nathan sitting at across from me, who will be monitoring all the questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, put that on the comment section on Facebook or YouTube. That where whatever the format that you are watching, we'll try to answer any questions that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, all that the YouTube thing, like and subscribe. This is going to be the last live event that we do for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of the we're gonna take a little bit of break as it's the holiday season coming, and it gets the stores and it gets a little bit busier. So we probably won't have time for live shows, but
Except for Sharp Knives Rock,
yes, exactly.
the Christmas episode.
We will have another last one of the Sharp Knives Rock, our monthly TV show coming up with the awesome giveaway as well, right?
Yeah, we got a Fujimoto Hammertone Tsuchihiki, which I think is just behind you there,
Oh,
that we're going to be giving away. So that's that's going to be the prize for that. And it should be a fun episode. We got some different things.
Yeah,
planned.
fun episode. I think I'm going to have some revenge on chopstick challenge for those people.
Yeah, Naoto's been training hard.
Yeah, I was.
Awesome. Well, we already got some great questions. We'll wait a little while to get into them once we get going. But Sven said, "Hey there, new sharpening room." This is actually my office, which is going to be the kind of editing media room.
Yeah. We'll have proper sharpening room probably next year.
Yeah. It's being painted today.
Yeah.
And then Mike's getting it set up for Naoto. It's going to be a huge room with lots of space for all sorts of knife projects.
It'll be a proper work room. So I'm excited for it. Yeah. But
Cool.
yeah, let's start
from
from like really basics, right? I think people who watches this show in particular knows probably one or two things about sharpening and sharpening stones already. But for those of you who don't, let's kind of talk about a little bit. Sharpening stones are those stones like brick of stones that's made of a abrasive, like a silicon dioxide, silicon oxide. So it's oxide silicon. It's
Okay.
like crystal. It's very very hard. Or the aluminum, the also the oxidized aluminum. It's as the abrasives, and they put together with some sort of adhesive. Often traditionally for the synthetic stones, that is traditionally they use a some sort of like clay. It's like the easiest way, right? Clay and mix it in and bake it in a hot oven, right? Then soft enough that they as you put the knife on or whatever you're sharpening, it will wear out and expose more abrasives out.
Right. Yeah, we use the chocolate chip cookie analogy a lot.
Yeah.
In the shops.
Exactly. And it kind of, as the base crumbles, you see more chocolate chips, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. Some other way of making the stones is abrasive with some kind of resin-based material to put together, or something like they call it a magnesium bond, which is more like a cement. So chemical reaction bonds those stones together.
Right. Kind of like a two-part epoxy sort of
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
And they do have what you call it, the different grits. Basically, what the grit is that think about like flour sifter. They have certain size of sift, and they divide it into the how many can fall off from the sifter, I guess, and the bigger, so that the smaller the number is, it's bigger particles.
Right.
Some uses, so that's the how many aspect.
Gotcha.
Right? Sift, like basically they use these say, I can't exactly remember if it's inch by inch, but basically say if it's inch by inch, they divide it up into 240. Let's say 240 grit.
Right.
If it's 1,000, that's 1,000 grit, right? Also, there's the measurements that's used by different stone manufacturers. That's a microns.
Yeah, I see that all the time, but it can be confusing if you're used to one.
It is quite confusing, and microns are a little bit more precise measurement, I guess, because it's the size of the grain, right?
Right. Yeah, it's more of like an actual measurement as opposed to like a volume.
Mm-hmm. But equivalent though is the you can definitely get some equivalency. Hey, for example, Sharpening, this stone manufacturer, likes to use both. So this one has a micron, 29.4 micron, and for them it's a 500 grit equivalent.
Cool.
Right. Of course it varies, right? When they sift, it kind of varies a little bit. But the usually, when I do the micron conversion, I usually take it like as a 10,000 grit as a 1 micron.
Okay.
And go from there.
That's sort of like when you have Celsius and Fahrenheit, like your reference point where yeah, okay.
So like 5,000 is like 2.
Right.
As a double.
Right.
Right. And yeah, like 4,000 is like 6.
I don't know why I've never Googled this before, but 1 micron is a millionth of a meter, in case anybody didn't know.
Yeah, it's a very, very tiny grains.
Mm-hmm.
So how the grit works is that the lower the number is, it's coarser, and higher number is, it's finer. Coarser stones basically are made with the bigger chunks of abrasives.
Right.
So arguably, it cuts the steel faster and more.
Right.
But because the grits or the abrasives, those particles are bigger, they fall off faster. Therefore, the stone will wear out faster.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
But I'll get into something really controversial that I heard from one of the sharpening guy in Japan.
Right.
And I will get into I found it is very interesting, and I hope so you do as well. It's very interesting analogy that this guy took. Just a little bit of preview for him. Say when you're sharpening a super high abrasive resistant steel like HAP 40 or ZDP 189.
Yeah.
1,000 grit will cut faster than 220 grit.
Really?
According to him.
Interesting.
And he's got actually really nice points. So I will discuss, I'll talk about that later on this show. But think, like, for those of you who is a bit of a knife nerd, think about it in a minute. I got this idea from this sharpening. I told Tamura-san. Yeah, I think Tamura-san from the natural stone guy up in Kyoto, who is the partner of the Fujiwara-san in Mie. So,
right. Is that Masashi Fujiwara?
Yeah,
not
that's Masashi
Teriyasu?
Fujiwara, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So I was like, and that got me thinking, how the grit works, how sharpening stone works to the knives.
It's maybe not as obvious as we think, at least as I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure the folks watching probably have a better understanding of stones than I do.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it starts. The different grits, coarser that is, or the lower the number is, it is coarser, so it cuts into the steel faster.
Right.
I'm gonna
and leaves deeper scratches
Exactly.
and a more rough looking finish to the
exactly
knife.
exactly. I'll do a little bit of demonstration and show you what that means. And even the same grit of stones depends on how they are made or who makes it. It changes the dynamic or how they react to the knives as well. So
Right.
let's go in that
Cool.
as well.
And that's really our topic for today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Well, you got
All
something
right.
to sharpen there?
Yeah, I do have a knife, and just gonna number 8. This is one of the this is one of the knives that we have quite a few of. We initially get them for a knife sharpening competition, and we still have quite a few for us to kind of try out.
Mm-hmm.
This is this been sharpened. It's got a deeper scratches and it's got a quite thick bevel on it. So I will. So I'm just gonna show you. Hopefully it's gonna stay. So this is how it looks right now. It's got a little bit of I think it. How I don't know how close I can get. You see that the scratches on a vertical grind. Maybe.
Yeah. Up. Yeah, that makes sense.
Here. So the scratch goes this way right now.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I'm going to do is use this 220 grit stone to start. It's this is usually the coarsest stone I usually take my knives down to. Some of the really deeper chips and the profile repair, I sometimes take it to this diamond stone. But when I'm polishing the bevel of the knife, diamond stones will leave very deep scratches. That takes a lot longer to get rid of. So I tend not to use the diamond plate for a actual sharpening on the bevel.
Right.
Here. So as the for regulars who watches our show, as usual, I'm just going to actually sharpen the bevel part. Just put flat on the bevel. This is very wobbly table.
Sorry, I grabbed you the least sturdy table I could possibly find. We'll have a better setup in the new space.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
So I will, momentarily, I will show you this really quick.
And so what type of stone is this 220 stone?
This is Knifewear 220 grit. Relatively soft, but it leaves very nice, consistent look to the edge. Relatively fast cutting as well as a whatchamacallit, it holds the flatness a bit longer than the some of the stones that's equivalent.
Right.
Like a Aratokun we used to have. It was so soft of the stone that it was really hard to maintain that.
Was that light pink?
Yeah.
One? Oh, yeah. Like my first rough stone was the big guy.
Yeah.
The big brick. And that thing has never been flat since I bought it.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's really hard to maintain the flatness. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
More proper.
And so what is this silicone dioxide or?
This is the ceramic. So it's a vitrified.
Vitrified, okay. Gotcha.
So vitrified means they are made like a plate.
Right.
Clay.
Yeah.
Maybe some
shaped
chemical.
and then baked in the oven.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And of course, depends on the type of clay or chemical composition or the temperature. It changes the hardness of the stone entirely too, right?
Right.
Even just like regular plates, if you look at the bone china,
Yep.
much harder. Like they are, I mean, the clay and everything is slightly different, but the it's still porcelain and ceramic, right? But the bone china is much harder,
Right.
and they are baked in much higher temperature.
Right. It's got a very different structure to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, Glenn on Facebook says, my favorite stone today is my Japanese natural stone from Shosui Takeda, the Ohira natural stone. It's really hard and really nice.
Mm-hmm. Natural stone, we will have another episode of natural stones, like probably next year sometimes when we have a bit more to talk about. And we do actually have one of the episodes that covered the natural stones as well.
Right. Gotcha. Well, just while we're working on this 220, Annabelle was asking who the maker of this 220 is.
Oh, this night stone?
Yeah.
It's made by Naniwa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are our own branded stones, which we use quite a bit in store and here in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And the reason they have our name on them is because we really like them. We developed them with Nanawa because they're a really great, trustworthy brand to make good quality stones. Yeah. Glenn was also asking, please differ between aluminum oxide stones and silicon carbide, as aluminum oxide doesn't cut as hard steels as silicon carbide. And I think a few other folks were talking about this on Facebook as well.
The generally speaking, the silicon carbide, like this one here is a silicon carbide stone, like they call it GC stones. They do often use it for a little bit lower grit stones, but the definitely aluminum oxide, white alumina, pure white alumina stone will cut stone faster.
Okay, gotcha.
And which I'm actually going to cover it in a second.
Cool. Awesome.
So I am actually going to finish right here. This is not like full. My goal today is not really to fully sharpen this knife, so I will just show you where I work.
That's more of a demonstration.
Yeah, and show you how. So the heel I have not sharpened at all. So the right here heel, and I'm just gonna reflect the light here. Quick, too much.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Just move it back a little bit. I think
here.
it'll catch the focus a little easier. Yeah, there we go.
So you see the rough vertical lines left on the blade here.
Yeah.
If you turn to the tip,
oh wow,
a little bit more even. There was a low spot that was right here. I didn't get to it much with the time and my patience for the rubber table here, but it's even it up really nicely, right?
Yeah.
Great thing about this 220 stone, generally any of the 220 stones, is that it will be relatively soft. So when you're working on the bevel, it will touch on the whole bevel except by the spot or point, which is fantastic when you're grinding the bevel to make it look even. I'm gonna actually talk a little bit about the. So next stone I'm going to talk about. So usually when I jump, I start from 220 and jump up to a 1000. Today though, since I'm talking about more grit, I'm gonna do this a 500.
And that's Sharpening Glass 500.
Glass 500.
Right? Gotcha.
Which we do now have in stock.
Nice. Well, yeah, this episode is all about comparing grits, so we gotta do some comparisons.
500 grit is so when you are dividing those grits or different coarseness of stone. In Japan, we say it can be divided into 4 different categories.
Okay.
Arato as a coarse, Nakato or the medium grit as medium grit. I said medium grit. Shiageto is the finishing stone, like probably generally speaking like 5 to 6,000 grit. And the last, it's 超仕上げと. 超 means super. So the super fine or super finishing stone.
Right.
Super finishing stones are great for like finishing up the micro, like almost mirror polishing on the micro bevel, like 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 grit stones.
We're gonna have to write a blog on that together because I had no idea what any of those words meant until now. That's really cool.
So the this 500, especially Sharpening glass, I think it sits like right in between the Nakato and Nakato and Arato. It's Arato. Ara means coarse, so Arato means coarse grit or coarse stones. This is not as coarse as the Arato, but it's not doesn't get as good finish like Nakato or finishing medium grit stones like generally 800 to 1200 grit stones. So this is going to be really good stepping stone from the if you're using something super coarse or like 120 grit stone. This will be great stepping stone to a to that 1000.
Yeah.
Also, this is great if you struggle quite a bit. Say when you're just sharpening a regular edge. So here's a little bit of difference here.
Yeah.
Just switch the angle. What I'm doing right now is the polishing the bevel. The reason why is that by polishing the bevel, you can see how they look a little bit more because that reflects on the look of the blade. But real sharpening or the micro bevel sharpening, you want to raise it a tiny bit and sharpen them, right?
Right.
A little bit of an angle. When you're sharpening this micro bevel, and when you struggle getting the really nice burr or the edge with 1000 grit, you can definitely go back down to 500 like this, so that you don't have to always like go back down to 220.
Okay.
So it's like really good stepping stone. And seems like the Sharpening do like this 500 grit as well. So that's why they do make a little bit thicker version of the this 500 grit than the other stones.
Right. Okay, cool. Blades of Sun on YouTube asked, "Hey Naoto, I have SG2, VG10, and Ginsan steel knives. It's all stainless. I use my Sharpening 320, Nanoa Pro 800, and 3000, and a Kitayama. I feel for the VG10 and Ginsan, my setup is okay, but I struggle a bit with my SG2.
The I think setup itself is fine. The so it says Sharpening 320. What's the next one?
Nanoa Pro 800.
Nanoa Pro 800. The setup itself should be fine. The definitely SG2, and if you actually compare side by side, VG10 and SG2 have very similar in terms of the how fast it being ground out, and also how thick as well. But the but the setup should be fine. Just be a little bit more patient. When you're sharpening those like really hot, high polished, well, no, not high polished, the stainless steels, be careful when you're putting on the Kitayama 8000. The Kitayama 8000 is really nice and soft. So if you are trying to put the last edge on, it may gouge into it. So do it very lightly. And if you are to polish the bevel on those, it'll be fine as well, right? So
cool. Is there anything in particular you'd use, any stone in particular you'd use to finish Kurosaki SG2?
No, particularly like those setups are fantastic. Like one coarse, one medium. I personally like the Pro 800 than the Nanoa Pro 1000. It's just really the hardness preference.
Right.
I found the Nanoa Pro 1000 be touch harder for my liking.
Yeah.
There are some.
It's a pretty hard stone. I was using that this weekend, and it's a.
There's some like store staff that loves that particular stone.
Yeah.
And it's a very personal preference, but the finish and image that of the edge that I'm trying to achieve, I don't need that stone.
Gotcha.
It does feel like it's like sliding.
Yeah.
800 does have a little bit more bite
interesting.
feel to it. So that's definitely the little bit of difference here.
Cool. Okay, how's that going?
So it actually does get little nicer. You see now, you can see this low spot much more clear. Back it up here, like right here. It's kind of foggy here.
Yeah, it stands out more now.
Yeah, nice and even. And it's the core steel start to polish up a little bit nice. As I said, the grits does not mean all. Does not always grits does not represent always how the finish looks like. It all depends on grit and the type of the abrasives and adhesives and how soft or hard the stone is. So remember the finish. It may be a little bit hard on this guy here. Here. Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Remember this. Back it up.
There you go.
Good, better? Good,
Yeah.
better? Okay, it's nice and even right now, and it's not too smoky. What I would do from this is that I will put this one on first. Sorry, my stones are all dirty. We're just in the middle of moving.
Yeah, we moved warehouses a few weeks ago, but we're still getting set up.
So this stone here, Knifewear 1000. This stone is great. I'm loving this stone when I'm doing the so-called the kasuni or the foggy finish. But so this is 1000 grit. When I work on this though, so how it feels is definitely it's finer, smoother than the 500 that I was working on. Oh wait, I was actually working on the wrong stone. That's why I was like, oh, that's so smooth. Here. They look very similar, sorry.
Yeah, I get confused with that one a lot. That sounds better. So that's the 1000, right?
Yeah, this is 1000.
Yeah. Jordan Sue from our Vancouver store is listening in and said him and Francis have been enjoying that Sharpening 500 in Vancouver as well.
Yeah, I'm so happy that when we first got those stones in, you basically follow what we had in our store always. Right. And when we actually ordered the second order, what I did, you know what I did?
What's that?
I asked Masashi Yamamoto-san to see like what stones we actually should have.
Oh yeah,
that was good choice.
Yeah,
so he was like, kidding. Yeah, you should definitely have the 500.
Yeah,
and I think another stone was a 3000 or something that he really liked, which we didn't have because generally our setup has always been 220, 1000, 4000, and 5 and 6 or 8.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's the standard.
But Sharpening does have quite a bit of range of stones. So when we first made an order, we just basically follow our footsteps that we instead of like ordering everything because it overlaps sometimes. Right?
Yeah, they have quite an extensive range.
But when we're like, so Masashi, we start carrying because Masashi loves the Sharpening glass series as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, hey, Masashi, now finally we're carrying this Sharpening glass series, and this is what we have. And he's like, oh, you're missing the 500. Like, oh yeah. So now because of that we do have the.
Well, luckily you have these incredible sharpeners to help you out.
Yeah, exactly, right. So this 1000, I like it because it actually more foggier.
Oh yeah.
And generally means foggier means it's it's less coarse, right? Because basically mirror polish basically means that there's less dimples. And when you see white or it's not as shiny.
Yeah.
Basically, that means it's been cut deeper,
Right.
so the light reflects all over the spot.
Yeah.
Right. If it's like light reflects in perfect condition, that is a mirror polish. Right, you can see yourself. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
This 1000 does fantastic job on foggying, even a little bit of foggier than the Sharpening 500. So I actually use this. I really enjoy this stone. It cuts the stone relatively fast, but at the same time, it is great for the. It's almost like a foundation powder that you put on. For
right, like it's a base layer when you're polishing.
People who do makeup on.
Yeah.
Or something like I've been doing a lot of renovations.
Yeah.
Painting. So like primer, basically.
Yeah.
I guess
it's your primer layer.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Primer layer.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Another one that I forgot to put that on the stone here. Hibiki 1000. This was a sample from the Naniwa. This Hibiki 1000 stone, vitrified, same kind of way of making it, and it's the same grit 1000, but they use the formula to bake it much harder.
Oh.
So this is great display of the same grit, made by same actually manufacturer.
Yeah.
And same kind of the method, but the different formula will make this knife how they look and make it different.
Interesting.
This is the made or designed or developed for a sharpening, a more like a chisels. Chisel, the biggest difference with, say, for example, chisels or plane blades to the kitchen knives is that chisels, plane blades, these carpentry tools are almost consists of almost entirely almost entirely consists of straight lines.
Right, like as far as the edges go and everything.
Edges go and the bevels
right.
go.
Yeah.
Yes, they do have a little bit of we call it he, or they call it he, or concavity in the back. Yes, they do, but Uraoshi, the flat part is super flat. The bevel is so flat. Where kitchen knives usually have different thickness from the tang, where the handle meets tang.
Yeah.
And the tip, this one is actually relatively inexpensively made. So the way that it looks is a pretty straight, the same thickness. But the hand forged blades or the well-made blades have the little bit of thicker here and tapers it down.
Right.
So it's more like a 3D image. So even if you are sharpening the bevel like this, it's not flat all the way.
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't.
Yeah, it'll have like a slight kind of twist to it.
Slight twist and slight different angles all over, right? And that's what actually Masashi was saying on an interview that we did as well. When he makes kitchen knives, he always keep that in mind. There is no side that is the same.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, cool.
This one here is, again, designed to sharpen those tools that requires much more precision on the straightness. That means much harder. Harder stones, although, see like the sound, I don't know if you can hear. Nathan can hear it.
Yeah.
Sounds very similar, right? Like how it cuts
yeah.
to the... But because it's harder, it's kind of hard to see on the camera. But it actually polishes tiny bit more.
Yeah. If you bring it back a little bit. Yeah, there we go.
So here, see the pull spots.
Yeah.
And like right here, if we have a light like here, would that help? Like,
yeah, probably.
Something like cell phone light?
Like a cell phone.
Maybe. I just flash this, I guess it's kind of hard to see.
But that it's more reflective there, hey?
Yeah. So it does have a little bit more, whatchamacallit, the finer, and it doesn't fog it up as much. Also, this stone will tell you, because some of the softer stones will, it's like some of the softer stones will get into the lower spots that the like, it's more forgiving. Softer stones are like,
Well, they contact more of the uneven surface of the knife,
it's like,
right?
yeah, it's like it's like sponge,
Right.
versus a piece of wood.
Yeah, right.
Kind of. It's a very
It's
bad analogy, but
if you're cycling in winter,
Mhm.
or if you're even riding a motorbike like in a gravelly area,
Mhm.
you'll deflate your tires a little bit because you get more surface area contact.
Right,
It's squishy.
Right.
Whereas if you're on like a harder surface, you want like more.
Right.
So the softer stones are kind of like that, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
grab
contact
into the
more
little
surface.
low spots and stuff. So what I use is I usually actually use this Hibiki 1000 before I put it onto the Naniwa or the Knifewear 1000 grit to fog it up, because I make sure that there is no low spots with the this 1000 stone.
Cool.
Because it's harder, it retains the flatness longer, and it doesn't get into the low spots unless you actually grind them down too.
Yeah, so it almost like trues the bevel of your knife before you polish it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Okay.
This stone, we are planning on bringing them for like limited time for maybe next garage sale in the spring.
Right.
See how people will like it.
Yeah. We should have a specialty stone sale sometime with all that cool nerdy stuff that you talk about.
Yeah. So this is something that I'm really keen. May not make it to the regular items, but maybe twice a year or 3 times a year kind of shipping deal. So that's really cool. Another 1000 grit. We do have actually lots of 1000 grit stone to compare. Should we answer questions?
Yeah, if you got some time.
Yeah.
If you got some more sharpening to do while we answer some questions.
Yeah.
All right.
We can just you can just like throw the questions.
I'm just making a note for myself, so I want to get you to write a blog that's Naoto's Super Nerd Stone Guide. Okay. This is from Nick Smith. More just a comment, said, I got my first Japanese knives a month ago. Congrats, Nick. Managed a small cut on my hand as I'm not used to how sharp they are. Next level sharp. Yeah, you don't need as much pressure. You can be very, very gentle with them. And they're that's the way to go usually. Bruce Howard is asking, my 1000 grit stone has developed a bit of a bowl. Will my truing stone fix that?
Okay. That's good question. The when you get the when you wait too long so that you actually are seeing a bit of a dish on the stone, best tool is to use these diamond plates. The reason why it's the best tool is that the diamond plate will cut the stone fast, as well as the diamond plates are always pretty true, so that it catches on all parts really nicely. Truing stone is like it's like honing rough for knives. It's like a maintenance tool. You want to do it more often than you actually ever think of.
Yeah, it's like brushing your teeth. Like you may not think you need to brush your teeth twice a day, but you do.
One advice that I can give you is that if you see the obvious dish, depends on where you live. Don't go outside if you're like outside is -20. But I've seen some people use the concrete blocks or some those hard surfaces, wet the stone and just grate them and do it until it's relatively flat and finish it up with a truing stone.
Yeah, I actually did that one time. It worked pretty well.
That galley?
My grandfather used to work in a fish cannery in BC,
Yeah.
and he worked with a couple of Japanese fellows, and they always sharpen their knives on whetstones. And
Yeah.
so they gave him one of their whetstones at one point, like 1,000 grit
Yeah.
or an 800 grit, and but it, you know, he had used oil on it, and there were some dishes in it,
Yeah.
and so I went and flattened it for him on a cement pad, and it worked great.
So yeah, that's probably the best way. Truing stones are, again, fantastic tool. I've used it and they work really good. But if you, again, wait too long that you can actually see the little dish, you want to kind of do it a little bit of before, then finish it up with a truing stone.
Yeah, the phrase "an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of care" has never been more true than with stones.
Yeah.
What stone are you working on now?
This is the so Kensho Itadaki 1000 grit here.
Right.
So Kensho series is the stone series that were developed by this knife sharpener in Japan called the Masashi Fujiwara-san. He is probably one of the best knife sharpener in Japan. Everything he does it by hand, and he developed this stone series of stones, 4 different series of stones, to do a certain jobs.
Right.
So
Each stone has a very specific purpose.
Exactly, like each stone line is. Itadaki series are made with really, really hard stone to check the straightness of the edge and see the how the knife is constructed, how it is, and everything. We do have the Itadaki series. We are getting some more Itadaki series, as well as the K series, which is to make the knife look pretty. It's really, we call it kasumi stone, or finishing the bevel really nice
The
and
primary
smoky
bevel,
and
yeah.
shiny.
Okay.
Another stone that we are get in, and we try to get in next probably a couple of months, is that their Zan series. This is what I wanted to talk about. Zan series consists of a little bit lower grit series. Like I think they have 120, 220, no, so 220, 400, and 1,000. Zan means to cut, and they are specifically designed to do a grinding, hard, heavy lifting on sharp grinding the knives. I get to actually use the Zan 1000 as opposed to Itadaki.
Oh, okay.
And here's the kind of point that the Tamura-san was making, his partner was making on his YouTube channel. When it comes to sharpening a very high abrasive resistant knife, say HAP 40, high abrasive resistant knives is that this type of, often stainless steel, that when you rub it, it doesn't wear as fast, wear resistant, right?
Right, yeah.
That means when you're sharpening with the sharpening stones, it doesn't feel like it's actually cutting. You almost feel like it's sliding kind of feel to it. So what happens is that those high abrasive steels, these, for example, these abrasive particles, high abrasion resistant steels, they don't get in as deep as the other steels. That's why it feels like it's sliding. It's not biting you.
Oh.
Right? Huh. So what he was saying is that if the abrasives are same, like, say the same aluminum carbide,
yeah,
smaller the carbide, it's like 1,000 grit, will work better than 400 grit, because it's more like smaller saw, the teeth for the saw.
Yeah.
Small teeth saw works some better for some items, right?
Yeah, right.
Right? Like if you think about the cutting,
like a hacksaw if you're cutting metal. Yeah.
Right?
Huh.
So
interesting.
That's how he was making that analogy. like salts are a great, I guess, analogy for a sharpening stone. Coarse or bigger the teeth is, it cuts grates really nicely, right?
Mhm.
And
But if you
also,
try to cut metal with like a large tooth,
yeah,
it'll
right,
kind of skip.
metal or even like really high composite things,
Right.
it doesn't do that as good of the job, does it?
Huh. Interesting.
Right? But the smaller teeth cuts in continuously.
Interesting.
That's the job.
Huh.
So I found it's very interesting.
Yeah, you can see how it. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but you can certainly see how it could be.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
Huh.
tell us like what you think. Like,
Yeah.
think of what I've just explained.
Well, Sven had a guess earlier said for 1,000 being faster than 400 on a 40 or ZDP, is that because the bigger grains get knocked loose too fast on the 400 and therefore don't get to abrade the steel as much as the 1,000?
Maybe too as well.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, but again, how deep those abrasives bite into the steel, I think that really makes the big difference. Even the 400 grit or 220 grit doesn't bite into as deep as they should. If they bite into the same kind of depth with the 400 and 1,000 as they have more abrasion, that cuts faster. That's what he was explaining, and I found that it's very interesting. And I haven't tested out. I have very few half 40 or ZDP knives to sharpen too.
Yeah, I know of a lot. I have what do I have? I just have my Mugen.
Although I did sharpen Mugen the other day,
Yeah,
and needed quite a bit of grinding.
yeah,
I was using, because it needed quite a bit of grinding, I was using the coarse wheel.
yeah.
It wasn't abrasing; it was slipping quite a bit.
Really?
When I changed to 800 grit wheel, it was polishing a little bit nicer. So
Interesting.
that maybe, yeah.
Well, I sharpened my Mugen over the weekend, but I was lazy, so I just did the bevel, the micro bevel. So I'm gonna have to thin it out sometime soon. So I will give that a try. Fighting U6 said silicone carbide is harder than aluminum oxide, but my experience is silicone carbide can cut it, so can aluminum oxide. For higher alloy steels, I would move to diamond or CBN. What's CBN? I have no idea.
The diamond. We are looking into actually getting this diamond stone from Naniwa as well. It's just really, I think it's really good time now for us to be able to test out a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
They do have this diamond stone that's not like these guys, right?
Yeah, right.
They have the.
Is it a diamond stone as opposed to a plate with like a diamond layer?
Exactly, they're diamond stones, so they do have the diamond as abrasive mixed in.
Yeah.
And make a very thin 1 millimeter layer on top of the stone.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I was talking. I was lucky enough to be able to kind of talk to them the other day. Had the Zoom meeting, and they were like, "Yeah, like we do have those diamond stones." I'm like, "I know," but yeah, we may get those in kind of for the test run.
Cool.
And I think for those people who don't know what our garage sale is basically really testing out new products and things, and I think that's going to be great testing ground.
Yeah, we get to try stuff out and see if people like it, and if they don't, then we're not committed to it. Oh, interesting. So Knife Sharpening Norway cleared that up for me because I am a total noob. He said CBN is cubic boron nitride, just under diamond in hardness. And is man-made. Got man-made diamonds too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
I think it's really the who we deal with, like in Japanese sharpening stone companies. They do either use aluminum oxide or the the silicon dioxide or monoxide. I think dioxide. But that's the main.
The chemical formula everybody's putting in here is dioxide. So I do remember that from chemistry.
So yeah, silicon dioxide or the like white aluminum. It's slightly different from the aluminum, the regular aluminum oxide, but the those do and hardness definitely matters. You know how much they cut into the stone, but or the steel. Definitely though, they are harder than steel that you are sharpening.
Right.
So it really depends on the I guess the make, and also as I've been mentioning, how coarse, how soft, all that stuff kind of because when I was doing it, it's the little bit of I was doing a little bit of research. The natural abrasives, for the natural stone, is much softer, but they still work quite nicely. That they take a lot longer, right? So,
cool.
Yes, and also like if you're using a spinning stone, how fast it spins.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So,
how's your knife going?
good. I just done the. This knife is kind of hard to really do the comparison to. This is the knife that I finished, put on the Itadaki 1000. It's really nice. Like I'm just working on this part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice and even. From here, pretty flat. It's not as, like, say, smoky. You can probably, because like from here, like, remember this. I'm gonna actually put it back on this Knifewear 1000. Okay.
We did have some more questions today. I just had some great comments from lots of folks as well, so thanks for the conversation, everybody. Ben Sheps was asking, will Naoto be discussing stone glazing today? What it is, what causes it, and how to manage it. Is glazing like when your knife starts kind of slipping across the stone?
Yeah, if you want to clarify what the glazing means, that's great.
We, despite knowing a lot and spending a lot of time with this stuff, we don't really spend a lot of time talking to other folks about it online. And so a lot of what Naoto's learned is more from folks in Japan. And so it might be different terminology.
It gives you a little bit more evener finish, a bit more smokier.
Yeah.
You see that? It's a bit more smokier, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I do. So different 1000 grit will definitely give you the different finish.
Right. Okay, so Knife Sharpening Norway said glazing is when the stone loads up with metal particles and stops cutting.
The Truett.
Yeah.
The people do like to use the so easiest solution is to use a Nagura stone. My advice these days is really to chew it. I know you are losing a lot more with the chewing, but if you work long enough to you start seeing that those streaks, and that's like clogging up the stone, use the chewing stone. That's the best tool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So I guess hopefully Ben, that answers what it is and what causes it, and that's Naoto's answer on how to manage it. Team Inspector said, "When are you going to get a proper spot with running water to sharpen at?" Well, right now Mike is painting the new sharpening room. It's not going to have running water, I don't think. But yeah, the only places that have running water in a new office are the bathrooms and the kitchen, and so we gotta put Naoto somewhere else. But there will be thinking
some tools to do that also. Yeah.
We could have a little pump system.
Yeah, exactly. Pumps and not like proper running water with the plumbing.
Yeah.
But we'll have some water source that we can do a little bit more sharpening techniques and.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be a nicer looking space. We'll shoot lots of videos and stuff there as well.
Okay.
Knife Sharpening Norway said pressure control and slurry build or watering out the slurry can also alter the grit. Also, harder steels will react to coarser stones less than softer stones.
Mm-hmm.
The
Softer stones will
gouged
definitely
more.
build up more slurries, and some stones like Arashiyama 6000 or Kitayama 8000 will have a more glazing
Right.
occurring. But because they're really soft stones, I would definitely advise you to do a little bit more chewing than the just use the Nagara stone.
Right. Damon says, always the jokes. This guy says you guys should have a feature rock wall with water running down it. You can divert some of the water with some split bamboo to the sharpening station. That would be very cool. Not very practical, but very cool.
The tip is getting actually quite nice. I just finished with the Hibiki 6000. No, sorry, 3000.
Yeah.
The tip, nice and even.
Yeah.
Not as
good.
shiny.
Yeah, it's cloudier than I would expect.
Still cloudy. But the this stone is again great to not really the polish. Again, same grit, different hardness, different manufacturer, and different method will make the different finishes. The Hibiki stone is all vitrified hard stone that is again fantastic stone to finish your chisels with. This soft Itadaki Kensho Itadaki K 3000
yeah,
will be much softer, and when I press more, when I actually focus more on the edge part, what will happen is that the it will have more shine to it.
Right. Okay. Cool. Blades of Sun is asking, hey Naoto, can you recommend stones between 800 1000-ish and 3000 5000 for SG2 R2? I have a feeling my Nanowa Pro stones will not fit that steel perfectly.
The Sharpening glass is really good. It cuts the steel really nice and fast. It does have the grabby feel. So if you want to grab any medium grit stones from Sharpening glass from 800 to a 1200, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the finer stone?
3,000 to 5,000 range.
And he has the Naniwa Pro 305 is great, although it is a little bit more pricey stone.
Yeah.
But if you were to finish the those, here's something that I shouldn't be talking about as we don't have this stone. But the Sharpening, some people call it Pro. They never call it Pro. I think someone in North America came up with the name Pro as it's easy to call it. But it's a Sharpening Kuromaku. Kuromaku Series 5000. It's in the purple. That is fantastic stone.
Well, you should get some.
Just a secret. But that one's one of my favorite. 5000.
Cool. I really like 5000 grit. I don't know. It just seems perfect to me. Nicholas Baldwin is asking, what grit do you recommend for weekly maintenance?
Weekly maintenance depends on what type of edge that you want to maintain with. Definitely the if you are just putting the micro bevel, like say 15 degree or whatever the edge that you are creating, if you have relatively hard 1000 2000 grit stone, be great. Sometimes the 4000 grit, just having one 4000 grit sometimes won't work, as you will have to spend quite a bit of time sharpening it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I personally like Sharpening glass 2000.
Yep.
So kind of gives you the medium edge, right, in between really pretty toothy edge as well as good smooth edge. So that one, and also it bites into the steel really fast, and it does quite nice job. So yeah, if I were to get one stone for like weekly kind of maintenance, I will go for the.
Cool.
You see the difference here? Oh yeah, I can see. The
Oh,
difference here. You see, it's more like glare mirror.
Yeah, it's very reflective.
Yeah, right. Than the other 3000 I worked on. So this stone is good for that, the K3000. When I say, for example, jump from here to different, say, let's do the 6000. Itadaki. So I'm doing back and forth between vitrified, that's hard, and the resinoid, that's soft. So this here, 6000. Listen. Do you hear that's like it's a little bit more louder than 3000?
Yeah, it seems louder than you would expect a 6000 to be. And why is that?
It's the it's probably, again, it's the it's also the adhesive as well, right? Not only the abrasive, that's that the so it was a little bit rougher to start.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more smoother. But this one, they do actually a pretty good job. I don't usually use this stone. They did a pretty good job. This works fantastic when you actually get this bevel nice and even. If this is all nice and flat, this is what you get. But
yeah, it looks great.
If you have a little bit of, I guess, dip or a tiny bit of imperfection, if you look at the tip part, you see that it's not as perfect. I'm trying to get that light set up right here. It's not actually as perfect.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Nathan, you can see this. Like at the very tip. Try to get the better.
Oh yeah,
right here,
yeah,
right here. The softer stone will hide this.
Right.
Harder stone will expose it. Therefore, harder stones are, again, really, really good when you're sharpening a blade that requires a lot more precision. Carpentry tools are to say, especially for like plane blades and such, are to make a wood flat. Right. Kitchen knives, you're basically usually cutting into something soft, like when you're making sashimi.
Yeah.
It's really soft.
Yeah.
So the precision kitchenware is okay compared to those carpentry tools.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Knife Sharpening Norway says, I'm off to bed. Have a great day, mates. It's probably late in Norway. Well, tune in, check back into the video later because we will get to the rest of your questions. Thanks, everybody that's asked a question and is patiently waiting for us to answer them.
Any questions to answer?
Yeah, plenty.
Okay.
Well, Dave Inspector says, pro tip. If you're developing too much burr when sharpening, you can always use warmer water. Like burr. Like Very good, Damon. Knife Sharpening Norway likes the Kitayama 4000 on SG2 on the Shibata Kotetsu. Oh, here's a good one from Dave Inspector. Says, do you run into issues with scratches when you keep all of your stones in one tub?
I usually use the fresh water to put on. Not today. I sometimes, but I don't. I do, like with the cleaner water, I wash them and I chew them. And I, again, do that usually before every stone. So I don't.
It's like you're sanitizing, sort of. Like you give them a good clean before you.
Yeah, that's how I usually do it.
Yeah.
Today, with the limited, actually, spaces that I'm actually using the water from here.
Yeah.
But that's how I usually teach our staff as well. Don't Don't use the water from the tap.
Don't cross-contaminate. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for pointing it out. Now I feel really bad being doing that.
No, it's okay. I think everybody here knows better. Also says for Japanese knives in a Western kitchen, 5K is the perfect level of grit, in my opinion.
Yeah, 5,000 is great. The that's really nice, super high polish, and super smooth. Yet it's not like 8,000, 10,000 grit stone that is like overwhelmingly smooth, and that those edges often doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I generally that's where I usually stop. 3 to 5,000 is where I usually stop for kitchen knives.
Yeah. Knife Sharpening Norway asked, "What do you think about the Nanawa Aotoshi?"
Aotoshi is great. Now they use that the same. They use that as the traditional 2000. They do put a little bit of Aoto or the Aoto powder in it. Apparently, that's what the packaging said.
Interesting.
Nice and soft. I like the one that they used to do very tall Aotoshi. It was like really nice Kasumi stone. But we do traditional 2000 right now is the closest that they make.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Eric Zoe had a question. What do you think is a better stone? Nanawa Pro 800, Nanawa Pro 1000, or Shapton Glass 1000?
Personally, I like Shapton 1000, Nanawa 800, Pro 800, and the Nanawa Pro 1000. It's very subjective. I can't really say one is better than others. For what I do, and I kind of preference I built over the years, I like tiny, especially the 1000 grit. I like the tiny bit softer stone, so it feels like it's grabbing the steel really good. So that's how I rank as like my preference.
Yeah,
but I can't really speak of like, oh, this is certainly better stone than others.
Sure, they're better for certain jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. David Suspector had another question off topic, but the new Maple Made saws at Kenneth Inglewood look sick. Have you guys tested them all out yet? Or tested them out at all yet? We just got them, so I haven't had a chance to take it out yet, but I think I will probably get myself that Bush Pike. I really like that guy.
The saw?
Yeah, it's like a fixed blade saw, but it comes in a leather sheath.
Really cool. Think I saw that too.
Yeah, really nice for like pruning and cutting like smaller trees and stuff.
Yeah.
But their buck saw is really nice. I have an Esker buck saw, which we actually sell with the exact same blade. It's just a high quality buck saw blade, and it is wonderful to use. So I can definitely speak to the quality of that saw blade, and their craftsmanship is really nice too. That's looking pretty.
That looks pretty. This is actually the 8000 from the Knifewear 8000.
Oh no! No kidding.
Really, the key is to make the bevel really nice and flat, so that it doesn't have that weird light reflection.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you don't get those like bands, like lines.
Yeah. Often, though, that's what happens when you're sharpening with the kitchen knives. Again, as I said earlier, kitchen knives, it's not so much on this one, but most kitchen knives consist of different angle from here to here because it's different thickness and it's like all 3D, right?
Right.
This is relatively easier because it is one of those machine punched blade. So the thickness on here to the tip is pretty much the same, so as the thickness here and down here. So it's relatively easier to sharpen.
Yeah.
I usually do it a little bit, modify it so that I actually make the tip a little thinner. That gets in a little bit nicer.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, so that's really the so even like 8000, I tried to polish the bevel as well. It doesn't actually polish that bevel.
Yeah.
I actually try.
Just the core steel, hey?
I'm gonna try. It did look actually a little bit more finer though, like than the finishing at 1,000 or 3,000. The core steel kind of remains nice and shiny.
Yeah.
But this clad steel remains becomes a little bit more finer, bit.
Okay. Yeah, it still looks like not rough, but like a little. Yeah. Svensfin was asking regarding the bonding agent. Do you have a preference for certain hardness regarding steels applications or grit levels?
Again, it's it's more like a application in terms of what you're trying to do. Whole bevel sharpening, like a like this sharpening, and try to make it. So there are stones that's one either to grind. There's another one to put this, I guess, like put the last makeup on. There are stones that to sharpen, which is to kind of give a little bit of an angle like this. So that's a different application, different use. I prefer soft stone to put the makeup on.
Yep.
Finish.
Yep.
For the edge, I really like the hard stone that gives you a little bit more precise edge. So when I'm going back down to put the edge on, I'm probably going to go back down to Hibiki.
Right, this is going to grind a really consistent micro bevel.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And when I lock my wrist, right, it gives you really nice same angle all the way.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't gouge in either, right?
Yeah, that's why I like that Nano Pro 1000 so much, is because I find it really nice
for micro bevel. The last finishing, I personally like a stones that's a magnesia bond ones, like a Nano Pro, Knifewear 4000, 8000, Sharpening glass. Those ones will have a little bit more nicer, like more smoother feel to it. Where, say for example, if I were to finish on the this Hibiki 6000, even it's a 6000, it really depends on what you, I guess, like your edge to be.
Yeah.
The Hibiki 6000 is great. I've used the other 6000, and it wasn't really as good. Like, it kind of gives you not as smooth of an edge sometimes.
Interesting. Jordan in Vancouver has a side question for both of us. What was the last knife you purchased?
What's the last knife I purchased?
I need to buy a couple knives pretty soon. My last one was a pocket knife. It was I've been buying a lot of pocket knives lately. It was a French Terzisard pocket knife that we just found at Camp de Bingwood.
Yeah, that one. The last knife I purchased was the Hado.
Oh.
Yeah, the Hado Sumi 240 was my last
nice
knife.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous knife.
It's yeah. I have been, as Nathan, you know that I've been doing a lot of renovation in the kitchen, right? So I've been just using one knife for last like couple months, but I can't wait. It'll be done next week, so I can't wait to get the not all.
Yeah.
Because my wife would get really upset when she sees all the knives. I think I'm only allowed to have one magnet.
Right.
So
so you won't have all your knives up on there. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
You can rotate them.
I'd love to have like two sets of magnet that have everything.
Yeah, I love having two magnets.
Yeah, but I don't think she would appreciate it.
That's fair.
I'll probably have just one long 15-inch.
Yeah.
And hold.
Squeeze them in there.
7, 8.
Yeah. D-Hop 310. What's up, man? Says Naoto, I have a Kiyoshi Kato Tsujihiki 270 on the way.
Nice.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Nice.
What grit level should I use on the edge?
The Kiyoshi Kato sons, I've seen them. I've touched them twice. Once at the Masashi Fujiwara-san's place, another one at the here. We actually sold one for the Depends on the finish, I guess. If you're getting that the croci beveling is really easy, I guess. Like you can just put that on the any stones. Make his way of finish is like really not the. It's great, but it's not the cleanest. If you're getting his Bashauma series, it's like just a regular hairline finish, right?
Right.
So if you're just touching it up, I'm just gonna sharpen the micro bevel for probably 2 or 3 times until it gets kind of a little thick. Then I'll grind at the bottom down. It really, I guess, depends on the edge. Try it out and see what type of edge that he gives.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, like despite the name, how famous he is, it's he's not that much different. His knives are not that much different from the like some other knife makers. Like not that much.
Right.
So
what would you personally use to sharpen it? If you're going to sharpen it for
you know what,
home
his knives are really. It's if I were to just put that on the edge, I'm probably just gonna finish it with 5,000. I may just bring it up to 8,000 just for fun.
Yeah.
Because it's Sujiki as well.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, I found because he's a swordsmith, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And all the swordsmith, his gyutos are great. But Yanagiba that those people make, I don't know why. I think it's a tradition, but the bevel goes up like quite a bit farther into the tang area.
Oh.
And that's like whenever I looked at his Yanagiba, it's like that is so hard to sharpen. Like why did they do that? And I think it's that tradition. I've seen some other swordsmith does that very similar sharpening job on the Yanagiba as well. So
interesting. Here's a question I've never heard before. How often do you guys get shigefusas in stock?
We try to get them
Sometimes.
as much as we can, but probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. And sometimes we just get like 1 or 2. Your best bet is to keep an eye on the new arrivals page on the website, and they'll pop up there or for just a brief moment.
Leave your email address on back in stock.
Absolutely do.
Yeah.
E30 Birdie says, I'm addicted to buying stones. I have a bunch of Imanishi, Nanoa Pro, and now thinking about getting some Shaptons. I have a problem and need help. Or you have a problem and you need more stones.
Yeah.
I can't help you there, buddy. Sorry. Ziga asks, what sharpening machines do we use?
So we use this Hoyo, the company that makes the wheels and motors. The reason why we use them is that because our friend of ours, the Shibata-san, was using it.
Yeah. That
was primarily because he was using it, we started using it.
Yeah. That's basically has like a horizontal wheel that spins, and then we have a bigger one that Naoto uses sometimes. It's got a vertical wheel.
Yeah.
Ben Sheps just says, I'm hearing use a truing stone more often. Got it. Thanks, Naoto. Yep.
Yeah.
Or don't overdo it.
I don't true my stone as nearly often as the guy who I got the lessons from. When I was like sharpening it and doing it on the stones, he stopped by and like after 5 minutes, he's like, "It's time to true."
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why his line, the Kensho series, are much thicker.
Yeah. Right.
So it is a little bit more expensive, but he made it thick so that it does last, or it doesn't go like flat out as quick.
Yeah, right. Sven had a question regarding grit level. Do you experience different degrees of grit uniformity between makers or series? Possibly also differences between grit levels.
The finer the grit is, I don't necessarily. The maybe 1,000 and lower has a tiny bit of the difference, but as you may know, we're not finishing all the knives with that really coarse grit or anything. It won't affect much, I think, to the degree. And finer stones, as I said, I don't feel much difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Knife Sharpening Norway is asking also, what are your experience with different levels of jigane being different hardnesses from different knife makers?
The ones that we carry, they use very similar clad materials. The ones that stand out is something like someone like a Hinora-san, who I've managed to sharpen his what's that whatchamacallit, river jumps and stuff like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
That is breeze to sharpen, despite the fact that and probably because of the jigane is a little bit like easier to be ground down. So that you can definitely feel that. Some of the jiganes that are used for stainless steels are a little bit harder to be ground. For example, and I know the fact, say, for example, Masashi-san uses much harder jigane for the, say, Kuroshu and Shiroshu with the stainless Damascus. It really gives you a little bit more solidness, but it is much harder to be ground. That's why one of the reasons why his engraving on the Shiroshu and Kuroshu is like very shallow.
Oh,
it doesn't go in.
Right, yeah, because it doesn't eat into the steel that much.
Yeah, where the other steels, like his knives, like VS1 Koi and Kemuri series, is much easier to be ground because of that the jigane is softer.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
But the Takefu Knife Village uses very similar clad materials from the steel company.
Right.
So I don't see much. So yeah, ones that you feel is the ones that it's actually made in-house, like Hinora, both Hinoras, not the cheap line, but most they're good price lines.
Right.
Or forge welded in-house, and yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, we got a handful more questions here. Crack Max is asking, what are the best sharpening stones for kids? Don't sharpen your kids. I mean, if you're gonna get like a stone for like a young person, just like not too young, but somebody that's like Scout's age, I would say, you could get like the Knifewear 221,000 combo, and any knives, like little pocket knives that they're learning on, something like that.
Like
would be
those
good to sharpen
whetstone as well, for especially Scouts in those.
Oh yeah,
kids, like have really pocket-sized stones that we have.
Yeah. A little pocket-sized stone would be good for using out in the woods and stuff. Ben Sheps asks, Naoto mentioned particle sizes for different grit levels. Does that mean, for example, 1,000 stone grit across makers should have the same size of grit? Does that mean that the density could differ, which produces different effects, different results from the same steels?
So I try to understand.
So I think he's asking, if you compare like 1,000 grit from different makers, are they all the same?
Slightly different. The grits vary as well. The micron varies. The micron level, some like a Sharpening, they do have a exact micron on them, where most makers, they don't really specify which micron or how big of the grits they were using. They do have very similar stuff to it, but it's not all the same.
Yeah,
it's not all the same.
And the hardness of different 1,000 grit stones are all going to be different depending on the maker.
Yeah,
and the line they're from.
Yeah, I'm sure the density as well.
Yeah,
and they probably have a golden formula. How much abrasive they put in, adhesive, and
everybody's their way is probably the best way in their opinion. But DJ Sergioto said, "Hey there, gents, late to the party, but Naoto, I have a quick question for you. Can you achieve a beautiful, consistent, and clean Kasumi finish with synthetic stones, or do you need Japanese natural stones to get it right?"
You can definitely get the really nice, clean Kasumi with the synthetic stones. Definitely. The one thing that I have been noticing is that make sure your bevel is really nice and even, no low spots. In order to achieve that, spend good time on 220. and good time on what really nice hard 1000, like Shapton one, or even like the the hard 1000, like a sorry, Pro Naniwa Pro 1000, Naniwa Pro 800, like hard medium grit stone. Make sure that there is no low spots on any of the bevel there. Then start climbing, like go up on something like 3000, and each level you want to just make sure that there is no like weird line. Then yeah, you can definitely get the really nice clean kasumi with the
Cool. Okay, E30 Birdie was asking thoughts on the Suihiro Oka. Hear a lot of love for that stone.
I haven't used it, so I can't really make
Right.
make of it. Unfortunately, the Suihiro does make really good stone. Sometimes when you as a knife store, we can't carry every single stone
Yeah.
available in the world.
We carry a lot.
I would love to use them. I would love to use them. I have used their double-sided stone, which was great. And I have used, and I think they have really good development team behind that, the product development.
Yeah.
That they they came up with this powder to bring up the Damascus finish.
Oh yeah, I gotta try that out.
So they do have really good product development team that has, and I think what I really like about them is that they develop the item for specific, again, purposes.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, like we do carry their wedge stones.
Yeah.
And they're great for doing like axes and like recurves. And
so I'm sure their series is great.
Yeah.
I can't really talk about them because I haven't used them.
Yeah. Marcel's asking any experience with Morihei stones. I love the 8000 as a finishing stone for Yanagibas. Did not use the lower grit ones yet.
Again, the Morihei series, the Morihei-san in Asakusa Bashi asks some stone maker to make them.
Okay.
I don't know who is actually behind it. There are only few stone makers.
Right.
Again, I have to kind of see it. I've seen them online. I've never used them. I can guess how they try. They are trying to make it sounds like they mimic the natural stone, but I don't know what that means either, because natural stone can be really soft to make the really nice mild finish to really hard stone, right?
Right.
So let us know, because I don't know what the 8000 feels like, but the I've seen them, and it's got the fire symbol on the on the stone, and I'm pretty curious. I'm curious about any like stones that's developed by the like really good knife companies with the tradition, like Morihei-san, and I've seen his sharpening job on the some of the Fujiwara, and they're fantastic. So I'm really curious.
Cool. Well, now I'm excited to check out all these new stones. Okay, just a few more here. DJ Sergioto is asking, what do you think of the Naniwa Pro 600? Do you like it as a stone?
Naniwa Pro 600 is good. I don't particularly use them as much, as 600 for me is kind of sits like very in a place that I don't find much use for.
Right.
Because jumping from 400, say, to there's no reason for me to go 400, 600, 800, and 1000.
Yeah.
So
I like it for like bushcraft knives. You know, it's knives that I probably wouldn't take up to 1000 because they're going to take a bit of a beating. But yeah, that's where I would use them, as like outdoor knives. And DJ Sergioto also asked, can you get a clean Kasumi finish on the bevel of a Tinker tank?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Ogami Super stainless cladding. Yes.
Sweet. Awesome. Okay, a couple more, and then we're done for the day. Blades of Sun is asking, I just thought about what you said about the soft Kiriyama on SG2. Which 8000 would you recommend?
8000, if you're getting the 8000 for Kitayama, Knifewear 8000 is great. One thing is that do not soak Knifewear 4
Yeah.
of 8,000 in the water. It just splash and go.
Yeah.
Wipe it clean, wipe it dry, and put it back.
Yeah.
Sharpening, again, the 8,000 is fantastic for that as well. A little bit hard. 8,000 grit will do a really fairly good job.
Cool. Sven is asking, I know chromium oxide is used on strops, but is it used in any whetstones as well? I haven't seen any yet, but from what I understand of its molecular structure, it should be comparable to alumina.
I haven't seen any with the chromium oxide in the stone, as far as I know. Let us know if you know. But usually chromium oxide often is used for buffing wheels, right? They spin, they apply the chromium oxide, then buff, because use that for car.
Yeah,
like those buffing wheels and.
Yeah, right. Okay, so to close it out, I've got a story that was sent through the Discord. If anybody's hanging out today and hasn't joined our Discord, come hang out. We have lots of great conversations and stuff. But this was from Sven as well, and just said something that they wanted to show both of us, because we're part of the reason why one of their projects has come as far along as it has. A little preface: I've been sharpening knives for a couple years now, but it wasn't before I began watching, or it was before I began watching your show and getting feedback through it, that I started to understand more technical aspects of it. Because of you both, my proficiency is now far greater, mostly because of Naoto, than it was just a year ago. And that inspired me to try and push my abilities to their current limit. I have an older Swedish slicer that I decided to experiment on. It had a flat grind and with a tiny bevel, but otherwise straight sides, and with a brushed finish. Channeling all I've learned through Naoto, I decided to give it a proper high bevel, convex grind, and glossy polish. Deciding that this wasn't tough enough, I limited myself to only using coarse synthetic stones to create the new bevel, and a single natural stone to handle the remaining grinding and polishing. Through all I've learned about stones, angles, water management, pressure, finger placement, blending, etc., I've arrived at these results so far, and I'll pop these up. Boom. So that's the far away.
Yeah.
And that's the reflection there.
Ooh, look at that.
It looks pretty good. And then we got a close up there.
Oh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. So I thought that was a cool story because it's
thanks.
It's what they've learned through hanging out with all of us folks and talking about all this kind of stuff. And so that's in the close up you can see the finish in the original and current state.
Crazy.
So that's quite the difference.
Well, thank you. That was very interesting.
Yeah. We're touched. Thank you.
Yeah.
If anybody else has like projects they want to share, you can share them with people in the Discord. There's a link at the bottom of the video description. But then if you want to share them on the show, shoot them to me in a message, and we'd be happy to show them off next time.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question, and then we are done for the day. Ben Sheps is asking, is 221,000 setup good enough for kitchen shears or paper scissors, like craft cutting?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Don't go over 2,000 for those like regular shears. They will lose its biteness and they slide. They don't actually, they
don't grab.
bite into,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you can catch our very last live show of the year, Sharp Knives Rock, the Christmas Spectacular, on December 6th at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. On YouTube, we'll be giving away another knife, last giveaway of the year, a Fujimoto Hammer Tone Tsujihiki. So if you want to win either a gift to give somebody for Christmas or just a gift for yourself, it's not hard to enter. You just got to watch and answer a few questions. And
it's got a subtitle. Like this show has a subtitle.
Yeah.
Revenge of Naoto.
Yeah, Revenge with the Naoto. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. Naoto's gonna get his vengeance.
I'm planning. I'm training up.
Training to have chopstick challenge redemption. We got lots of other fun stuff planned for that episode as well.
Yep.
If you need a Christmas gift, hit us up online or come visit us in one of our stores. We're always happy to chat with you in person or over the website. And then we've also got a couple new videos on the YouTube channel. Mike just did one this Monday about testing out different knives for carving a turkey and some great tips for carving a turkey. I know there's plenty of Americans watching, and I know you guys have Thanksgiving in 2 days.
Yeah.
So that video is worth a watch. And I did one last week that I thought was really fun, where I made a meal only using a vegetable peeler.
Yeah.
It was a weird challenge, but I had a good time doing it and made some good food. So yeah, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, like the video. That helps us out a ton. Naoto, you got anything else to close with?
No, that's pretty much the. I mean, we did shoot some videos about furoshiki, which
Mhm.
is this ultimate Japanese wrapping piece of fabric. So that'll be up sometime probably before Christmas.
Yeah.
This is such great.
2 weeks for that
2
one.
weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll have another video about some gift guide as well. So
Yeah.
if you want to check out those, they will be available pretty soon.
Yeah.
Nathan's working super hard to editing.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do. Also, yeah, so I guess this is our last of our weekly kind of video podcast style. So we will be back in January. We like to take a little time off at Christmas because we're super busy, but we appreciate everybody's support and tuning in every week. It's been a really fun year of videos to make, and I think we've got to have lots of fun stuff. So if you guys are missing your fix, feel free to go back and watch some of the old episodes of the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour, because there's some great content in there. We'll be back in January, probably mid-January, better than ever. We'll have Naoto's new sharpening room, and we'll have some nice lighting and stuff set up there, and we won't have to do this temporary setup with a crappy folding table.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Have a good week.
Ciao. Have a good weekend. Have a good, happy U.S. Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah.